you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Yes, I'd like to introduce you to Rickie Byars Beckwith. She's the Director of Music and Arts at the Agape International Spiritual Center, prolific composer, writer, singer, and has the ability to really release a tremendous amount of what individuals will call healing energy through her song, through her voice, through her message.
And I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Michael Beckwith. This is my beloved, in whom I'm well pleased. He's really does light up my life. And he is the spiritual director of the Agape International Spiritual Center. But even more than that, he's a teacher and someone that really walks the talk. And he's my songwriting partner, and he's my husband, and he's my best friend.
And I'm honored and pleased to be all of that. And this is my wife.
Yeah. We were talking earlier about some experiences you've had with your music and your words carrying some healing energy. So perhaps you could describe that, some of those situations to us.
We have a number of cases where that was true. There was a woman in Dayton, Ohio, a spiritual practitioner, who was working with an individual with brain cancer. And the family had come earlier that day to say goodbye to her. She was a mother. And when she left, the practitioner placed on repeat one of Rickie's CDs. The CD was entitled I Found a Deeper Love. And just put it on repeat. And the lady listened to it just over and over again, you know, for a long period of time.
And she'd been in a coma.
She'd been in a coma. Mm-hmm. And she spontaneously woke up and went home. And she's still alive today, and that was years ago. That was a few years ago. The cancer disappeared. Mm-hmm. And the primary modality was prayer through the practitioner and listening to Rickie's music over and over and over again while she was in a coma. Mm-hmm. And she had a spontaneous remission and has not gone back to the hospital since. Mm-hmm. So that's just one case. Mm-hmm. Recently, matter of fact, as recently as this past Sunday, a woman flew in from out of state to tell us about what she considered a miracle in her life. Her husband was in the hospital. He had been diagnosed with prostate cancer that had begun to spread, and he had diabetes, and he had another malady, but I don't remember what it was, but suffice it to say he was on tubes and laboring. And the doctor indicated that he was going to have some kind of surgery the next day, and the mother, his wife, asked him, the doctor, for 24 hours, just to be alone for 24 hours, and they consented. Within those 24 hours, they took a stack of Rickie's CDs and a stack of my sermon tapes, and they alternated music, sermon, music, sermon, music, sermon for 24 hours. That's all they listened to. Mm-hmm. The next day, his PSA had dropped from 17 to .02. His body normalized, and he left the hospital in one day. Mm-hmm. And so she just was so excited. She flew in to tell us this, and those were the only thing that shifted, was the music and the message
and the intention of the family for the healing to take place. I think that's a very necessary component too.
Talk some more about intention of both the healer and the listener and the participant. You know how it all fits together. How do you see that?
You know, I don't know how it fits. I just know that it does. That when the heart is ready, and the faith is there, and you have so much good that music can do, healing music can do, what can happen when a person gets to listen to the truth of who they are, and they are reminded who they are. And it's kind of hard in the hospital sometimes because everything around you is telling you who you're not. The television, the food.
The label they give you.
Yeah, the label that's on the door, you know, with you know, and you know, the menus. I mean, there's the lighting. You know, there's so much about it that doesn't feel much like a healing center. But if you bring in music and you bring in an attitude of gratitude, if you bring in flowers, if you bring in joy, mm-hmm. and then you bring in sound. So now we have possibility, as opposed to, what do you call it, Michael, pathology.
Right, possibility over pathology. Mm-hmm. And what's important about the music is vibration. Mm-hmm. And so if a person is inundating themselves with the vibration that's higher than the disease. The disease is vibrating at a very low level, and they can maintain that state. Then you're looking at the possibility of healing or revealing an individual's real nature. So music is so powerful. And we're using music in the real meaning of the word, not the stuff people listen to on the radio, the top 40 kind of things. So we're talking about real music that has an intention behind it. The artist has an intention. The artist is connected. The lyrics are important. The melodies are important. All of that's very important, as she was saying. And so if a person inundates themselves in that kind of sound frequency, then the kind of chemicals that start to move through your body even are much more tonic-oriented than toxic-oriented, and allows for the immune system to even strengthen. So it's very, very powerful.
I know at Agape, our International Spiritual Center, people there heal all the time. They listen to the music, they hear the sermon, they're listening. So we're talking about music, but we're also talking about sound. And I know that the sound, what's behind Michael's voice when he's speaking, everything that makes up a sermon that's coming from his mouth through his vocal cords with the intention of what his life is anchored in. And then you have the music that's there, that's just filling the space with love. People learn how to let go without having to learn. You know, they are willing. They're sometimes ushered into a field that they didn't know they were going to go there. They were going to church. They were going to their friend's church. And then the music starts and they start crying. I'm crying. I don't know why. This music's making me cry. And he's talking to me, you know. So before you know it, it's like, oh, this is just what I needed to let go, or to at least to see myself beyond this place where I could. And music, what can I say? Music is awesome.
It's the doorway.
It is the doorway.
I know when I first came to Agape, and I heard Michael get up and he said, "Good morning," I knew he knew something. And when he began to speak, my soul was just fed. I mean, I heard his voice, and so much was requalified just by listening to his voice. And he has a similar story of when he heard my voice on a cassette tape the first time, and how he knew that voice.
Absolutely. She written a song with someone, and he gave me the CD, the cassette, to listen to it. And I said, the song's okay, but who's singing? Because you could feel the pulse and the vibration moving through her voice. And he thought she wouldn't be interested in coming, and I said, that's, I know her destiny is what I said. I said, I know her destiny. There's healing in that voice. And that's what happens when people walk into the field of Agape. She's chanting, she's leading chants, and she's singing, and it's creating this really awesome field that people are walking into right from the very beginning of the service. And they'll cry because they start to unwittingly let go of the debris and of the lower register of vibration, the sadness, the worry, the fear starts to be let go of through their tears, and now they're available to a message. They're available to an impartation that will take them to another level of consciousness or another level of action in their life. But the field of music, I mean, we even use a gong at the beginning. I'll hit the gong 3 times after we've already chanted. And then there's another song after that, before we even get to the practitioners that are going to do a formal prayer. The field has been established by practitioners holding the silence in meditation, and by the musicians and Rickie chanting, and just creating this wonderful vibration. And before you know it, even some of the greatest skeptics are sitting there, and their heart is open before they could get it and close it back again. They're like, oh, something's happening to me. And it's too late. It's too late.
Yeah.
You got him.
I'd be interested to hear you speak a bit about the multicultural aspect of your work and music. And of course, we've been to Agape, and that was the most thrilling part for us, to be in such a multicultural environment, and just in terms of sound. And
Well, first I'd like to say that coming up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Atlanta, Georgia, that was where I was raised as a child, the radio was so diverse. So you could hear a whole lot of different kinds of music, and even the school systems. Well, at that time, the school system that I was a part of was, well, all the school systems in the South were segregated at that time. And so the teachers were very intent on you knowing all kinds of music. So we would be singing Bach, we'd be singing Negro spirituals, that's what they were called, Negro spirituals, classics, and then we had the radio. So there was just so much that I heard that was diverse. I heard the Beatles, I heard James Brown, I heard Bach, I heard old, Wade in the Waters, gospel. And then I went to a Catholic church, I heard Gregorian chant, I heard nuns, all black nuns, singing Gregorian chant. You should hear that. I mean, it was just like, so I had this wonderful opportunity, and then there was Sarah Vaughan and Nina Simone and Curtis Mayfield. I mean, just the field of music was awesome. I just so much. And so having all that, because all that's going into this little Rickie. Little Rickie is getting all of that, and I'm loving it. And the thing that my soul came to do is responding to its chord. And mine are more into the minor sevenths and major sevenths, and so I was just listening to all this music growing up. So when I began to write and define what I saw through what I heard, what was in my library of sound, what came out was not just one type of song. And fortunately, against my wishes, I had great time to develop as a songwriter, and so I didn't get to Agape until later in life. And that's when I began to really write. And so the songs that were coming for me were songs that I was getting in dreams, songs that I would dream of, songs that Michael would come through and with a line of a song, that's something that just kept recurring in his head. And just the whole relationship of writing with somebody else as opposed to writing by myself, and having the full freedom to discover what was trying to emerge through the song as the song was and still is a very fascinating adventure. So our catalog of songs is so wide. I mean, it's just, what I'm saying is like, not the catalog. The catalog is a diverse style. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's a diverse style. Yeah. It's like if you came to a concert of the Agape International Choir, which is 150 plus voices singing, you'd hear songs that just don't sound like one style of music. It's not like a gospel choir. The style, you're going to get so much. So when you have a choir or you have a music in a church or a spiritual community that it's not just one thing, but it resonates on a lot of different levels. People come from all over the world, and it reminds them of a whole lot of things. So an African's there, somebody from Iraq is there, from Iran, Asian, whatever. Because the sound is not coming from one way. It's just coming from the vibration of the spirit, that recognizes itself. And so I believe that because the music is diverse, that it helps all kinds of people to come into our sanctuary and feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she has a facility that allows her to just catch music from the spheres, and so it's inspirational. I'm thinking about "Wake Thou That Sleepeth." I know. Yeah. I'm thinking about I had a revelation. I'm thinking about in the beginning, and think this Om Shanti. There's so many songs, and none of them sound alike. They all have their own unique signature that carries the vibration, the frequency of healing and inspiration, transformation. And it's being in it is one thing. When we actually put on a concert and then we can hear it through the ears of people who have never heard it before, it's fantastic because we hear it, we know it to a limited degree, but then actually seeing somebody new sit there and hear a whole concert of all kinds of different genres, singing all kinds of different genres about inspiration, about love, about healing, about harmony. It's very powerful. And the community itself reflects that kind of diversity that's in the universe. You have Asians, Latinos, white, black, Jewish, Africans. I remember in line one time, I was talking to a bunch of people who were waiting for me in line, and there was a number of people that I hugged, and all of them were born outside of the United States. So not only do we have a local diversity, but we have an international diversity.
Yeah.
People from Iraq and Iran and Russia and Peru and Colombia and Mexico and Canada and Australia. So the whole world is in our sanctuary. And I think the music, as Rickie was saying, speaks to all those parts of the world and all of those parts of the heart that really allows a person to discover the power and the confidence that is within them. It's tremendous.
Yeah.
It's amazing, too, because that's what I received when I was at your church, that this diversity, it just feeds your soul, and this is what we yearn for. You know, we don't want to be all blocked off into our little limited focus groups or even our families is, you know, even our tribe, our particular tribe is limiting. So what a great planet we live on that we can have this diversity. So I really applaud you guys for.
I think it's this next stage of our evolution, because we've gone from, you know, the tribal situation to an awareness of individuals who carried cosmic consciousness, you know, Jesus and Buddha, Krishna, others. And so now that has to mirror community, where we realize we have a global perspective where everyone on the planet is our brother and sister, not just the person that has our same blood type or came from the same mother, but everyone who comes from Mother Earth is our brother or our sister. So that consciousness matches the cosmic awareness that we're all one. And partnership and collaboration now take the place of competition and rivalry, you see. And music is the harmonizing force or the harmonizing power that brings all that together.
Yeah.
You put a bunch of people in a room that can't speak the same language, you put on a good song, they're all dancing together.
Or give them all instruments.
You give them all instruments and let them sing together or play together. You know, you don't have to. You can just bypass the language, bypass the beliefs, bypass the national biases. Throw some good music or give them something to sing. Oneness, right there.
Yeah,
that's very true. Yeah, I was just thinking about how it all continues to go back to the spiritual practice, because sometimes in spiritual community, what I've seen is an individual will say, "Okay, I've been to Agape. We want a church like that. We want all kinds of stuff going on, you know, or let's say that there's a church where there's just one kind of music happening, maybe just contemporary gospel, but there's a desire to bring in other kinds of music. But the thing is that if you have an individual in either of those cases who is controlling and wants to have the sound be what it is, and it's a very subtle point, but it's a major one, as opposed to being open to where the sound can go. You know, not watching somebody else's. It's okay to be inspired, but inspired to see just what it is. What is it that wants to be known through for this group of people? You know, then sometimes, you know, because it's a dance. You know, I've watched myself now. Agape has been around we just celebrated our 20th anniversary in November, and we're in our 21st year, completing our 21st year. Hey! You know, and now some individuals are coming, especially one man in particular who's dynamic. But he's got that holiness Pentecostal thing, and he's got a new attitude about where he is in the world. He wrote a song about, I'm walking with a new understanding. You know, and it's a fabulous thing to see somebody come in here from the holiness tradition who's singing about oneness. Okay. Now this person brings a strong vibration. He's a songwriter. He plays the B3 like nobody's business. He's a good person. He's got a big heart. And you're looking at this person. Now, a small person inside would be scared to death if they were the music director and were just seeing the world through their music and what they want to do. But then if you have a vision of God or good or harmony or harmonizing good, then it even helps the person who may go like, oh wow, this is really going to change our sound. You know, this is something else. You know, the Agape choir is going to go another place with this person bringing in this individual and their gifts as a songwriter. I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but because I've been the chief composer at the church for so long, and somebody's coming in with a with a power and a force. I'm going, and you know, and something in me goes like, yay! You know, well, it's great because it gives us so much more. You know, but we have to keep going to that place.
Right.
That's the partnership and collaboration and extension in action, in practice.
Yeah.
Talk about how you write your songs together. I mean, that's an interesting, that your partner. Just to share a little bit about your process, about your partnership, because we love the concept. Dean and I are partners. We've been together since 1968.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we love the collaborative aspect, and it might be a challenge for some people. How does each person bring their own gifts to the common table, and how much greater that can be?
Okay. Well, I got to say this. When we wrote our first song together, it was a great surprise to me. Michael had asked me to write I was at the church, I was completing my first year there, and it was around the time of the season that some know as Thanksgiving, and he had asked me to write a song for Thanksgiving, and I just thought that was so bogey, like, yeah, you know, people write songs for things.
It's corny.
Corny. Yeah, corny, you know, it's like all my works, even before I came to Agape, were inspired. You know, I was inspired to write, not writing for hire or a jingle, you know. So anyway, so I was like, I don't do that, you know, I'm not doing that. So he said, okay, and he just let it go. And the next week I was vacuuming in my home, and this melody came. I thank you. It was, I thank you, but I couldn't say what I was thankful for. And I didn't really know how to pray in those days, but this melody just kept, I thank you, and I knew he knew how to pray. So I called until I got his number, and I called him at his home. He answered the phone, and I said, look, can you give me some words? Because I knew he had poetry inside. I could hear it in his sermons. And he was my buddy by that time anyway. And so he said, give me a moment. And he said, let me go with it, or something like that. And then he said, I thank you for being so real and touching me and letting me see what a beautiful world this world is. And I thank you, and I'm just writing, I'm going like, this guy's got talent. And I thank you for all that's revealed while you're touching me, while you're changing me, opening my time-blinded eyes to see my glorious possibilities. So it just goes into this thing, and I'm just writing, I'm going like, this guy is bad. And it was so fresh, you know, I'm thinking like, oh wow, nothing's rhyming, you know, he's just, you know, just giving it. And so I said, you know, we could finish this. And he came over, and he did something when he came over that I didn't know it then, but this was the catch, because we were both married to different people. But he came in with some food. I think that's when I fell in love right there, when he came in with food. He came in with the food, you know, and we finished writing this song that was about gratitude. You know, the writing of a song is a very sacred process for me. Mm-hmm. I've been invited to write with a lot of very well-known songwriters that I have declined the opportunity. Maybe I would say yes now, I don't know. But when they asked, it was something that I just was not, I didn't want to be that intimate with those people.
That's the word is intimate.
Yeah, it's because when I write with someone, I allow them to step into my mind. And and I have to consider their point of view. I have to think about if they can take this or not. I have to share. I have to compromise. So it's a joy to write when we can write.
It's a very strong creative process, but she drives it. I mean, I feel more, I felt then, and I still feel the same, that I just feel honored to be a part of the process, because the rhythms and the music that comes out of her is so powerful and so unique. Even without lyrics, it's just out of this world, and a lot of it comes from out of this world. A lot of it comes from dreams, and you know, she'll dream the music, and then the next morning be at the piano working on it. And so I'm just always, you know, she's helped me become a better songwriter, And one thing she said to me years ago, what she said earlier, she said, there's music in you. She said, there's poetry in you, I can hear it. Mm-hmm. And that gave me permission. 'Cause I used to write a lot of poetry, but I never thought about songs. Mm-hmm. So she gave me that permission to really think along that line. So the collaboration is awesome, but it wouldn't be nothing without Rickie, because of the energy. The way the music rolls through her is just phenomenal. And there's a lot of songwriters at Agape. Mm-hmm. You know, that we have a field of creativity. Mm-hmm. And so we know a lot of them, we see a lot of them work. But Rickie's different. When she sings, she doesn't just sit down and decide, I'm just going to write a song. It's very, very true. It's very inspired. Mm-hmm. It's like, same when I'm speaking. We have a very similar process with the work that we do. It's inspired. It's not drudgery, or it's not, I'm going to sit here and write a song or wait till it comes, that kind of thing. It's really something that has to move you. And I've watched her do it for years. And it just keeps coming. It just keeps coming. It just keeps coming. It just keeps coming. And it just comes from that 0 point energy, that field of infinite possibility. It comes from God. And so to work together is a sweet dance. You know, sweet dance. I remember The Land of I Am, very powerful song. I remember her going through some interchanges around that time in her own life, and then birthing this rhythm about the land of I am, and all of the answers to your pain are within you. And she was actually ministering to herself. And then we got together and fleshed out the rest of the song. But it was just a process watching it. Now, I could say I've gotten used to it, but you really don't get used to that kind of thing. You know, it's like, you get used to it in the sense that it's there, but the process is always fresh. You know, it's not like, oh, there goes another song coming out of her. You know, it's like, wow, you know, it's still happening. It's like, Old Faithful is still gushing.
And somebody told me the other day, they was like, well, we heard you weren't writing music anymore. I'm going like, where'd you hear that from? I just wrote 3 last week.
And somebody came up to us and said that. And says, we understand you're not writing music anymore. I said, what?
So what you're talking about is the creative process, and that by opening yourself spiritually, you are becoming channels.
Yes.
So if you want to just talk about, I mean, that's what you're doing in a way.
Well, my journey to Agape, like when I met Michael, I met my teacher. So, and even though he's my husband, he's my best friend, he's my buddy, my lover, my boyfriend, you know, he's my teacher. And Michael taught me how to love myself. He taught me how to love God and how to heal. You know, when I met this person, there was a lot that I was carrying, and I wasn't even aware of how much I was carrying. I just knew that I was unhappy, you know, but in my healing, the songs revealed the truth of who I was. And so I was a good student. I still am a good student. And I will go to my spiritual practice when I'm falling apart. Now, a better student just goes to the spiritual practice.
That's why they call it practice.
That's why they call it practice. You know, and I do.
When you're not falling apart. When you are falling apart, you can...
you have some residual.
But what I find is that, what I found through the years, and it's still true today, is that the songs that come through, whether we're collaborating or whether they're songs that I write alone or that I write with somebody else, they're all about what I've discovered, what I know to be true, what wants to be known. Sometimes I don't even know, you know, and I'm writing to know, but I know that if I can start, that the art will reveal what needs to shift in my heart, so that I can heal through whatever it is that's facing me. And I think that is a very one of the things that is most wonderful about life, is that it's not this thing that is just even, and you hit a plateau where you don't have any bumps or nothing. You just, you know, you got the secret, and from now on, you know, it's on cruise control. Like, it's not, you know, like Michael says, and you living this life of where you're anti-bored until you die, you know. But it's like life is full of opportunities to discover more art, you know, more truth, more of the face of joy, of what is one. And so the songs reveal what I'm learning also, or what needs to be known. And maybe it's not what what it's for me personally, maybe what I'm writing for, is for what you need to know. You know, so I dream for the collective, and it comes through.
It's a powerful statement. Yeah, I dream for the collective. That's good.
Something about perhaps inspiring. How can other people use singing and music to heal themselves from what you've learned? I mean, and we can wrap this up because you guys have been really great.
I need to go.
And me too.
You want to scoot?
I better go.
Okay.
Because you can.
Yeah, we can keep talking.
Okay. You can handle that.
You good? Just if you would like to share a little bit about how what can other people do in their lives? Because we obviously see your tremendous talent, but other people might think, "Oh, I'm not good enough," or "I don't," or "I can't." So how to get people past that?
Well,
and you can ask.
I don't know how to reiterate that question. Mm-hmm.
Or how?
I think that when we're able to discover what our gifts are, sometimes people want to do what I do. They feel sometimes even sad that they don't have the life that I have, or that they can't write a song, or that they can't sing. Well, first of all, I feel like everybody can sing. Not everybody needs to be in the Agape choir, but everybody's trying to get in it. and most everybody makes it. Because I believe people need to sing. I believe everybody needs. It's good for us. And that's why the chants fascinate me so much, because the chants are simple songs and people should be able to catch them very fast. And the singing of the chant has the power to uplift us and to lift the vibration. So to raise the spirit, as they used to say in the old days. So the chants are very important. And I love writing the chants. But there are people who really want to do that. There are some people who want to write chants. And they take chant writing classes. But I never took a chant writing class. But then again, I'm a naturally taught musician. So, I just feel that when we follow our inspiration and we allow the inspiration to create from our inspiration, that we're going to do a work that is worthy, that is going to feel good and going to really heal and inspire the listener.
And the singer.
But yet, I feel, though, because of the way we're educated in our school systems, that so much about our educational system does not facilitate the individual in discovering what their greater gifts are. We are kind of churning out these beings who will work for a job to make money, and they end up in jobs that are so unfulfilling. And I'm in love with the hip hop generation. These folks do not want to work. They don't want to do that. They'll do whatever until they can do what their dream is. I'm thinking like, you go, follow your passion. What is it that you have that you love to do? What is it that you love to do that lifts your heart? Now, how does that gift serve the world? So first it's like, well, it gives me delight because I get to write, but now who am I writing for? And what is the gift of this work to the world? How does it help? How does it serve humanity? And so when we're looking at what it is, because sometimes it's art, sometimes it's not. That you should see my drawings. I'm really a great artist because I think so.
I want to see them.
But the thing is, my daughter helped me get beyond my box of, I can't draw. She says, oh, Mommy, sure you can. And she gave me her colors, and she goes, paint, draw, dream, go for it. But not go for it to make millions of dollars. Go for it because you're going to be a better you if you're expressing your gifts, your art. And I think that is a wonderful thing to know.
Great. That's perfect. And also just in terms of using singing not as performance, mm-hmm. maybe just for self,
yes.
maybe just for in the car, that
yes.
kind of thing. Because I think I personally had a healing experience with singing, and it really
yes.
changed, that's a long
yes.
story, but I know how important it is.
Yes.
Not as I'm going to do it for somebody else. It's not part of a big thing, or
Uh-huh.
going to record it or anything, but just that personal.
Yeah.
So
Well, singing is important for everybody. That's why when a person says, I don't sing, I'm monotone, when I was in 4th grade, the teacher told me to be quiet, and, in front of all the kids, and I just haven't sung since. And I mean, I've heard stories like this of people who've been mortally wounded by the choir director. So I'm hoping I'm not that kind of choir director, but because when a person just decides not to sing, there's a whole part of their brain that's not, and their being, their breathing, their lungs, that's not being activated. Now, one could play tennis and walk and run and do exercise, but what happens when you sing? Something else happens when one sings. And that's why singing is so easy to do, because the Spirit would give us that facility so that we could heal ourselves easily. So, sound healing, I know that once I was, I didn't know this was happening. I was in a car accident. This is a real quick story. I was in a car accident. Probably the whole thing was a setup, but I was in the car accident, and I worked with a chiropractor for about 3 months. And then after the end of our session, he says, okay, now we have to take x-rays. And I'm thinking, like, you're supposed to take x-rays before you start. So anyway, I think he was just the crooked chiropractor. He takes these x-rays. And then he says, and then he called me. He says, I hate to give you this news, but there's a growth that's right above your bladder. And it's really large. And I want you to come in to see this. So I went, and at this time I was in my spiritual studies. And I was like, I said, whatever you see does not exist from this moment on. And I just went into denial. I went into denial, and I said, but I will come in for an x-ray. So, because he dated it wrong. That's why I needed to come in again, because he dated the x-rays wrong. So that night, this coughing happened in my body, and I just started coughing, and I realized that the coughing was breaking down something in my body. It was shattering it. Just the cough, which is sound. So it's sound is even beyond singing. Sound is sound. And then I started doing this thing called the bee's breath that I thought I'd made up, but then I found out that it's called the Brahmin's breath in India. And it's just a high nasal sound. It's like a like that, high pitch, resonant, very resonant field. And so in the wee hours of the morning, to calm the coughing, I would go into this sound. 4 days later, I went for this new x-ray, and the man said, I don't believe this. I don't believe this is happening. So there was something that was there, but it wasn't solid anymore. And it was just a film. It was just a shadow of something that had a circular mass, and it had moved. And so he said, I don't believe this is happening. I said, yeah, in another few days, it'll disappear altogether. I'm out of here. And I haven't looked back. That was like about 15 years ago. But the interesting thing about that story is that I know that the sound had everything to do with what was going on. And then, of course, a high being told me there was a time when that belonged in your body because of your thought. That you were in so much pain and so unhappy that your body was building this mass around its disappointment. She says, but now your body is so full of light that all of that has gone to shatter. It's shattered into tiny pieces. It's gone. It's disappeared. And I think my song of life, my song of joy, my song of gratitude had everything to do with that. Now you ask a question about just regular singing, singing on the highway, singing in the shower, singing, check this one out, singing while you're cooking. Because if you sing while you're cooking, the food's going to taste better. Yeah, and there are scientific studies that show that if produce is being grown, but there are no birds around, that what's growing does not have as much nutritional content as produce that is grown where there are birds and where there are birds, where there are animals and creatures that have a song of life, which is interesting. It's very interesting.
Yes, that is very interesting. There's actually a company that does sonogrow, and they develop these sounds
and put them to the plants and in fields, and they grow better. And basically, I haven't heard the sounds, but the way they've been described, it sounds like birds in the morning.
Yeah.
And that makes totally, because the birds, as some
Well, the
native
birds,
philosophy, they're singing life into existence.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like, I think sound, sometimes because we're human beings and sometimes we're so self-centered, human-centered, that we forget that sound and music it begins with the birds early in the morning, giving us that wake-up call, and the crickets and, and all the other things, and not the gardener.
Not the leaf blower. Not the leaf blower.
Yeah, not the leaf blower. But sometimes even the leaf blower, But it's like, that's an ohm.
I thought you were going to talk about singing when you're vacuuming.
Singing when you're vacuuming. That's when I get my best songs. Not when I'm vacuuming, but when I'm sweeping and doing the very small things around the house. That's my sweetest meditation. That's when I capture so many melodies. Just when I'm cleaning and humming. And then I realize I'm humming something that I've never hummed before. Hey, look, that's a new song. Yeah.
Do you find that, like if you're feeling down, to sing helps?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And when I'm feeling down, I put on my own record. Now, I know that sounds a little interesting, but I do. I have an album called Pray For Me. And there's a song on there called As Seasons Change. And it's a song that I wrote to kind of release my children, to let them go. I mean, my children are still in their early 20s. But there's a place where a mother has to understand that right now they need to go. And we need to have the trust that they're going to be okay, that they're going to find their way. Just like we did when we were 20. Oh my God. And I wrote a song. My daughter, I called her, I says, I really am missing you right now. And she was in New York, I was in LA. And she says, yeah, but Mommy, you'll use that. She says, you'll write from it, create from it. Create from it, Mommy. And I hung up the phone, and I was like, create from it. Create from it. So when I got home, I went to my piano, and it was about 9 at night. And it was a really interesting day for a parent, And I went to the piano, and I tried to write this song about, great platitudes. I wanted to talk about wisdom and strength and, and nothing came. It was like I wanted to write this song about truth, so I just wrote that I was having this issue trying to write this song. But one thing I know, that if I don't know what to do, I can just give a smile to somebody, or or make a friend, or take a ride on the bus, do something I haven't done before, just to shift my way of being in the world. And that's what singing does. So when I need ministering to, I put that song on. Or Pray For Me. That whole album, Pray For Me, very simple. It's just piano vocal. But I think piano vocal is really Rickie at her best, because it's the way the songs are born, And that song just reminds me, and reminded me then, and still does, of what's the truth. It's like, these things pass. This is a season for this. And there was a season when you were a younger mother with these kids, and now they've grown up. Because they're not, and so to the whole musical component of that is a letting go, is a vibration of what it feels like to mourn, to let go. And so the song is actually a song that's written from grieving, but it's a song of victory still. It's a song of, it's kind of both. It's like, well, I'm out of sorts, but I know that I can do this. This much I can do. And bless everything, because everything has its season.
I feel we've really covered a lot. It's great.
Well, good.
And I wondered if you
talked
had
for
any
2
other...
days. I hope I didn't talk too much.
No, it's great. It's just perfect. I think between both of you, it's just going to be wonderful. And
Okay.
if you have any other stories or anything else you wanted to share, I want to honor your time.
I think we probably, there's just, I can talk about music and sound all day. There's just so much of it.
Maybe about fields, how sound creates a field of energy.
Okay, I will. And I will tell you the example that I'll give. When I was 3 years old, and younger, I remember those years very well. But early in the morning, I would be awakened by 3 creatures. And now I know that those 3 creatures were angels, but I didn't know they were angels. I just thought they were snap, crackle, and pop kind of little cartoon characters. And they would appear on the windowsill. And they would wake me up, though, out of my sleep. It would be like, wake up, Rickie, wake up, wake up, wake up. Now, I'm in a room with other siblings that are asleep, but I'm the only one that hears this. And I get up and go to the windowsill, and they would just put on a whole show for me. This was every day. I would wake up early, and they would sing to me, and I would just delight in the sound of what they were creating there. And I didn't know it for a long time. I didn't find out till like a few months ago that was a gift. You know, to be able to hear music like I heard it, even at 3, and play it was a gift. I watched my 3-year-old granddaughter play it, and I'm going like, I see what she's playing. She's not playing what I played at 3. I know what I played at 3, and that's when I realized that, oh, what this facility of being able to hear sound the way I do is a gift. You know, that's something that I got to do this time. So the way they would wake me up, these angels, to send whatever it was, I don't know what it was, still wakes me up. But when I wake up, I don't see these things on the windowsill. I just get this vibration of music that wakes me from a dream. And it'll be there. I mean, sometimes whole songs will be there. You know, it'll be there, the whole chorus or the whole verse. And I hear and I just make my way to the piano. And it's there. And I begin to play it. And then the sound is birthed into the room. And what that does for me, I hit the microphone, what that does for me is awesome. It's like I get the feeling of life and a dream fulfilled. It's like that. It's like I'm fulfilling what I came to do. Now, when I get to present that to other people, and I watch them give me back to me what happened to me when the song was coming through me, is the joy of my life. And if I was crying when I wrote the song, to watch them cry, you know. And so this whole magic and science, though, it's magical, it's mystical. It's mystical, the way it happens. You know, it's very natural because the birds do it, the bees do it, the animals sing all the time, the dogs, they all have their language. But the way we, as human beings, get to emit these beautiful sounds through our instruments and through our voices that can change a person's way of seeing things, that can help their heart to heal, to let go of something that no longer serves them, that can bring them joy. You know, it's a beautiful thing. And the last thing I want to say is that when you were making your, doing your spot downstairs, and you were playing, and your husband was playing the flute, and I just watched your way of being with him, and the way you played, and the way you related to each other. And I believe that is the healing power of your music. It's the lover in you, in the two of you, the way you love each other. It's what's really powerful. And sometimes people don't get that part. They think they can create without being a lover. But in order to do music that really inspires, somewhere in you better find that lover. And so I honor the lover in the both of you that produces the amazing music. It is that music. The love is the music.
Thank you so much. And I honor the love in both of you, and you individually and him individually, but the two of you together. I'm sure that is a big part of the attraction.
And
I
think we don't realize it because we do it
Yeah.
Well, definitely, I know that
You
from
know?
everything I hear about both of you, it's always both of you. You know,
Mhm.
Michael, yes, but Rickie and Michael, it's both of you, and that's
Yeah.
what's so beautiful. It makes, and to have the music as the component of, I really think that it's so important, the meaning of things that we
Mhm.
put into it. So his
Mhm.
words and your words too, but you know, and then the energy of the music and the vibration of the music and the spirit
Mhm.
and the love and the joy.
Yeah.
So it all fits together.
Yeah,
It's
it does.
really, really, it's a wonderful
It's
combination.
wonderful.
We're so, I think all the four of us are very blessed to have
We're
found our
blessed.
soulmates and
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
able to do what we love to do and follow our dreams and be inspirations to other people.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
that's what we know. We all know we were here for.
That's
we were
right.
born for.
Yeah.
Before I met Dean, my mother used to say, "Oh, Dudley, you're too idealistic. The world isn't that way. You're going to be disappointed." And then I met him, and it's
Yeah.
like more so. And I'm like, doesn't let me worry about anything because that's not what we do. We don't worry about things. We make it better. You know,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure you two lift each other up that way.
Oh, we do.
It's so much fun.
I've learned so much. You know, I mean, Michael, I've learned so much. He's my. I've learned a lot. We can do that on your next DVD.
Well, that might be fun. I'm just thinking of there's a number of people in the music business who are families, either they're brothers or they're, you know, wife, husband, wife, or whatever. But you know that, and then you guys. I'm just thinking of people who do a business and a
Yeah.
partnership together.
Yeah.
I think that would make a really interesting program because people struggle to get along anyway, but then to be able to work together.
And it's a process. I mean, like I told somebody, it's like, you know, it's not that you arrive, especially with Michael and I, that I arrive at this place and then we got that part handled.
Yeah,
You know, it's for me, because of the way I'm wired. The way I'm wired is, and when they say we can undo our wiring, I still deal with all those things, but they don't control me. And part of my wiring is that it's got to be all about me, that I've got to be the best in the class. You know, I got to have a straight A report card. You know, I lived with an aunt that was a little demanding, and I was away from my family, but it was by my choosing. So I must have needed to learn the lessons that I learned in that period of my life from 5 to 10 years old, that I would need to be in this situation in those very formative years of life, being inundated with a belief that you are only as good as you prove to be. Not that you're just good because that's who you are. You know, we love you because we love you. Go play. You're all right. No, you do this homework and you get A and you do, you know. And so what happens is if you're not the big shot, then you begin to feel like, oh, you know. And it's like, and I, so with Michael, it's to watch him. And even my daughter, it's like on both sides. And my son, but my son is like me. We're the time release capsule. Michael and Georgia, they go like that, man. These are two geniuses on both sides. And on one side I have Michael, on the other side I have Georgia. And I'm thinking like, you know, this is a good time. Now you know you can handle this. Because all around you are people who achieve. They're smart. They're brilliant.
And they support you.
And they support you. You know, they support me.
They're not trying to compete with you and be better than you. They are just who they are.
They're just
being
who they are,
great.
being
and
great.
You happen to also be great in the middle of it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so everybody's great in
Well, the
your
hard-
field of energy.
Well, see, the hardest thing about that wiring is that the message that was sent is that you're not great. You know? So as you remember that, wait a minute, I think I'm doing all right.
We've come a long way from being sinners.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, sure. But, of course, what does to sin mean? It means to miss the mark. Mm-hmm. So we have this ideal of human perfection that we would like to be achieving. And so, in a way, if we miss the mark and we're not, like, perfect... nobody's going to freak out. Yeah. You know, it's our own standard on some levels that we're setting up this sort of thing that we fail at. But whatever. I mean, it's just
so fun.
It's amazing to me how certain religions choose to focus on that sin aspect. In fact, that's not what Jesus came to say. He was all about forgiveness and, hey, it's not about sinning. It's about that you are a child of God and you're a beautiful person, and I'm with you and I'm rooting for you and lifting you up in any way. So that's what's so beautiful about. But I'm afraid it's a little bit misunderstood.
It's a tad.
Yeah, well, this has been a pleasure. I really am glad to just gotten to know you guys better.
Thank you.
That thing about the birds in the morning, a motorcycle went by.
Oh, you want to repeat that?
Could you
I talk about charge
that up again?
Well, I forgot. Well, I just know that the first thing I hear that wakes me up in the morning are the birds, and the song of the birds, and their calling in the day is about as wonderful as it gets. I mean, nature is attuned to itself. So when we're attuned to nature, we really have a good day too.